The CARTA Evidence Project improves the visibility of data, evidence, and innovations of CARTA Fellows and other public and population health research throughout sub-Saharan Africa. The site is set up to eventually facilitate policy discussions, identify centers of excellence to foster synergies, and find collaborators throughout the region, all to improve health and development in Africa. Simply access our bibliometric dashboard. Filtering out specific data, and getting a snapshot of the research content, like how many times a specific university and individuals have been cited. Or look for certain keyword clusters in CARTA Fellows publications, in certain countries, or with or without certain authors, to identify experts and expertise, or areas for capacity building. You name it, there are many ways to drill down and find specific research related to CARTA Fellows and other researchers in Africa. Each section here can also be found in the main menu bar as well. You can sort and filter through our entire database of publications, and simply click here to read any of them. Or you can select all, or select specific entries, and download the information as an Excel file with just one click. Or focus only on research abstracts. Filter down to specific subjects, and review their summaries at a glance.
Before I start, please allow me to first of all introduce my co-presenter. Sorry, give me a second. Technology. Yes. Please allow me to introduce my co-presenter, who is Ryan. Ryan is our video producer and has offered to help me scroll through the website as I introduce it to you. He saw me preparing for it this afternoon and he said he didn't want me to walk and chew gum. And as such, he has offered to help me go through the website as I talk you through it. With that out of the way, it's indeed my pleasure and privilege to introduce the CARTA Evidence website to you. It's something we've spent a lot of time and effort building for public good. I am particularly excited about it, especially because of the prospect of using the power of artificial intelligence to improve the efficiency of research capacity building, conducting research, generating new knowledge and innovations to address public health challenges in Africa. The CARTA Evidence website is a collaborative effort between staff of the Vic School of Public Health and the CARTA Secretariat staff as well. And a special mention is Martha, who's worked with me side by side to develop the website to what it has become today. Before I proceed, also allow me just to give you a bit of a background of how we got here. The idea behind the website was developed in stages and driven mostly by the need to increase the visibility of PhD students, other early career researchers, and the research publication that comes out of the work that they do. It began with the peer review publication that you have in front of you. Writing this particular paper, which was to showcase the research done by CARTA Fellows, required that we review about, at the time, about 806 articles published by the CARTA Fellows. And this exercise required that we categorize the papers that they have produced into different areas that they're contributing to, extract information from the various papers, look into additional information about the papers and the authors themselves from online. And doing this for 806 papers took about 6 months, postgraduate students, close to 3 to 4 months with everything else that we're doing to review just those papers. And this was quite daunting and extremely inefficient to go through. And at the time, I found it quite unsettling and thought we needed to find a better way of going through this such evidence to one, harvest the knowledge and evidence, and innovations coming from PhD research from across the continent and make it more useful. And I thought we should find a better way of doing this. At the time, I explored pivot tables, but pivot tables wasn't useful because Data management was only a part of it. The core of it was really extracting information. And post that, we started exploring different artificial intelligence tools. We took on a number of them that were off the shelf, but the off the shelf artificial intelligence tools were not fit for purpose because they were not designed for our work. One, they were not fit for purpose. Two, you required yearly licenses for them because you don't own them, and that also comes at a very high cost. Having done all that, we were then pushed to begin to think and look inward to say, what can we do on our own that is organically ours, that is customized and built for our purpose, and able to respond to the kind of evidence synthesis that we like to conduct on a very, very high pace and on a very more rapidly than we've done in the past. So post that, we then decided to look at using a collection of open source softwares that are available there to create a collection of tools. When glued together, combined together, is able to perform what we like to achieve through this project with high accuracy and also with high agility. I would then like to invite Ryan to please share the website. So I'll take you through some of the things that we've done with it and how you too can become part of it. Ryan, over to you. If you can put up the website. Thank you, Ryan. So finally, the website you have in front of you is our integrated platform that is built to continually track, collate, analyze, curate, and display evidence that's coming out of researchers in Africa, but in this case, CARTA fellows. And remember, we struggled to review 806 papers in 4 months, but now with our new system, we are able to review close to 1 million articles in a matter of days or even hours, depending on how much data we've put into the system and how much more that we need to process. Like I said, this is a significant shift and improvement from the manually processing the data, never mind the human limitations that also come with processing this amount of information. Considering our new capabilities, we did not stop there. We have also started toying with the idea of supporting other African programs similar to CARTA with the right resources and collaborations. More recently even, we began investigating the requirements to become a regional resource to track impact of research capacity building, data and evidence management to improve population health in Africa. The benefits of the website as we see it it cuts across different groups, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. But again, our current thinking about expanding beyond the CARTA program has many benefits. One is because CARTA doesn't exist in isolation, and the primary goal of improving the visibility of CARTA fellows may actually be better achieved through greater integration with similar programs and also having a regional program that brings more people to the platform. We invite you to explore the website with us and see how we're using the website to and our new capabilities to advance science, to advance innovation, to contribute to human development. The CARTA evidence website as it currently stands is still our very early attempt at improving the visibility of public and population health research in Africa. Our initial focus, like I've repeatedly mentioned, is on the CARTA graduates. But the website may still be under construction, particularly around optimizing and enhancing user experience features that we plan to build into the website. And frankly, and as typical of such kind of resource, it is often developed in iterations. The same iteration that would have resulted in other technological innovations in our time, such as the Windows that we've seen evolve from Windows 1 to 10, or the iPhone from 1 to 14, and many others. And I guess this would not be an exception. However, with your help, we will fully develop an African website for managing research data and evidence, providing resources to find capacity in the continent, improve research operations, and indeed generate new knowledge to solve problems. I would invite you to, in your time, look at our mission and vision page to see what the project is really about, and also see some of our strategic activities that we use to achieve our vision and mission. Moving on to what the project does. So the benefits, uses, and applications of the website are numerous, and we may not be able to cover all of them in this presentation. And since we made the website public in a few weeks ago, it has been used in more ways than we anticipated by different people, both large and small, from all over the world, and we're indeed humbled by the reception and adoption that we've enjoyed since we made it public to some of our immediate strategic partners. And yesterday, for instance, I was speaking with a principal investigator of a very large-scale African project funded by the Wellcome Trust, and he explained how he intends to use the data from the website. And I was, in fact, frankly, in all honesty, besides myself, with humility, seeing how a small idea such as ours is supporting such a large project. And I'm inviting all of you to open your mind and imaginations to the website and to work with us to make it more responsive to your needs. But specifically, we hope to use the website to enable data findability and possible analysis, and as well as data sharing through this exercise as well. We also hope to use it to enable human capital development through those specific activities we've listed, same as engaging with policy and planning, as well as efficient management of evidence, which you'll see in a moment. So currently, the website has 4 main features. One of them being the bibliometric dashboard, displaying the content and impact of research done by CARTA fellows from different partner institutions. We also have the publications page presenting an annotated list of publications by CARTA fellows, and abstract summaries and content paraphrasing features to facilitate research evidence review and also facilitate uptake of the evidence that is presented, as well as the use in addressing some of the challenges that we face in Africa. Lastly, we have the interactive Impact Africa page that curates public and population health research articles and data, and also provides a data list to improve access to evidence and data in Africa. I'll take you through them one by one, starting with a bibliometric dashboard. So the dashboard was originally designed to demonstrate the impact and content of the research done by the CARTA fellows that Martha has already introduced. And the page has filters and search boxes to demonstrate trend and patterns between and within groups and over time as a result of the CARTA support to its fellows that are drawn from across Africa. So it's wanting to support programs, wanting to support research, wanting to support build capacity in the continent. But it becomes very important to also understand the effect of these various initiatives. One is it helps you to become more precise in further investment in the group, and also for people to track and benchmark themselves and see areas that can further improve themselves or how they can begin to work together a lot better. Some of the filters that you see on the web page, in the case of CARTA, this is one use case, but again, this project can be used for many other cases to monitor and track research groups, to monitor and track institutions, etc. But in this case, where we have used it for a consortium of universities supporting PhD fellows, we have a filter with their home institution, the host institutions where they may be studying. We have, we'll also look at the agenda, we'll look at the cohorts that they come in, because the project actually recruits its fellows in various cohorts, and we've had about 10 cohorts since 2010. And the website also you are able to see their performance material that Martha has already used. We're able to see their performance before they got into the program, during the program, and indeed after the program. And most of the features that you see on the page all can be printed out for presentation, like you saw Martha do just now by clicking on those buttons, but we're not clicking for now for the sake of time. We have other metrics on the page, citation, impact factors. All these demonstrate the impact that is being made by these fellows as a result of the support they're receiving through this capacity building program. We're also able to use our artificial intelligence tools to read through the content of their work and look at what they're really working on. You remember, like I said, we started from a time where we had to do all this manually, but now with the power of artificial intelligence, all this is done automatically in minutes, using the power of computation. And the page also shows things such as the journals where they're publishing, so we know the demonstration of the quality of their work. It shows the research approach that they use in the various research that they do. It shows co-authorship and collaboration between them, which, you remember, the objective of the program is really about creating a critical mass. So are they working together as a result of this? Let's also remember that these are a collection of PhD students whose primary focus is actually to get a PhD, but nonetheless, because they're working together, being trained together, increasingly working together as well as a result of the design of the program. And if we look a little more deeper into the project, you begin to also see the kind of work that they do. And the research, that's the slide that Martha has already used from this website. And our funders also have been finding this quite useful. That with this, you are able to see the content of their research, not just counting numbers, that you can tell the proportion of their work that focus on infectious disease and many other priorities that are listed on this table. And something else to note here is that a lot of their work, if for those who are particular about numbers, you see that if they add up, it doesn't come to 100% because their work is not mutually exclusive. You have people who may be working on infectious disease among women, and or you have people looking at food insecurity among children, or substance abuse and violence. So there's mutual, that's kind of complementarity of the work that they do, and which in many ways demonstrates one of the objectives of the program of becoming multidisciplinary in nature. And like I've already said, you know, the work that they do is cross-cutting. You have people working on climate change and reproductive health, child health, and food security, violence and injury, and so on. And the page also is used to search for human capacity. If you're looking for researchers in Africa working on various topics, the page becomes very useful. For instance, if you want to find researchers working on malaria in Africa or working on malaria in Tanzania, for instance, as a use case, if you type the malaria into that space and filtered, you see that all our fellows who work on malaria, but again, if you click to say you want to see from Tanzania only, you're able to see those individuals. And if you even look at these individuals specifically, you will be able to see the kind of work that they do, or if you want more details about them, by right-clicking, it takes you to the profiles of these individuals to learn a little bit more about them. The page also has interactive network maps. These networks maps show co-citation, co-authorships, co-occurrence of keywords, international collaborations. And these features demonstrate capacity, scope of research and collaboration. And these features, frankly, it has various uses to various stakeholders in understanding issues around research capacity and opportunities to do more in the continent. And Ryan is kind enough to zoom in and to drag and pull. All this shows how one can gain more insights by using this particular tool that's available on the website, demonstrating the work being done by CARTA fellows. Another useful resource on the page is the publications page. So with a growing number of publications produced by CARTA Fellows. You remember when we started looking at a whole idea, the fellows were sitting at about 806 articles, but currently they've produced close to 3,000 articles, as you also saw on the bibliometric page, that shows a count of the number of papers they published at different times. And reviewing that amount of information takes a lot of time, but now with this particular resource, we've extracted keywords, we've extracted a number of other information, and with the filters that we've provided, we're able to efficiently search for authors, search for keywords, search for different designs and methods used in those research to pick up documents that may be used to conduct more, to gain more insight or better understanding of on various topics and research done by the CARTA Fellows. And this whole exercise, you've seen with the click of a button, Ren has been able to, for instance, show the kind of work being done by these individuals, search for those working on malaria. If he were to, now he has used it, he has searched for malaria, been able to generate all the papers on malaria, for instance. He's doing this in just a few minutes. Or seconds even. But before now, this whole exercise would have taken us days or months to go through this. And the tables that you have in front of you, when you search for any topic, it generates papers related to that topic. And here, the tables that are in front of you can also be sorted. So you, with the columns, you can download the materials that have been generated from the search as well with the export function. And there is also a link on the right side. If there's a paper you want to read specifically, you are able to click on that and it takes you to a page where you can read more about the particular paper you may be interested in. And with each search, you would see that each search also generates, it tells you, each search will generate information about a given topic. But in addition to that, if you drop down the search, research search filter, he just searched for malaria. You see that all the other papers that also intersect with other topics as well. So if you wanted malaria and COVID, a click of a button could now help you generate that. If you wanted malaria and maternal child health, it could help you do that. So these are some of the features that a lot of the mainstream search engines may not have, but we've put them here to make access to information and searching for information a lot more nimble and also generating evidence a lot easier. And depending on what you search for, how they intersect with other topics would also vary. We saw what happened with malaria just now. If you did a similar search with cancer, the distribution of papers that they also intersect with also vary. And if you want in a particular area with a click of a button, it generates all that information. You can download, you can read, and so on. If for instance, this same page can also be used to search for individual CARTA fellows who may be working on various topics. If you search for my good friend there, Kennedy Otombe, and if you drop down the research areas, you probably see the research area filter. You see the various topics that he works on. He seems to be all over the place, but again, this is because of the nature of his job. He's a statistician and able to provide research support to people in various areas. If you were to pick up somebody who's more specific in terms of the work that they do, I'm sure that their outcome will be, their report will be a bit different from what you've seen with Kennedy, who is a statistician. So that page was able to manage a collection of all the research being done by the CARTA fellows. But now, to help us understand the content of their work a lot easier, we have created the evidence summary page that actually summarizes the content of the materials that you've seen in those various papers. And these summaries at the moment actually come from the research abstracts of the work being done by these individuals. If you put in a search term there, it will generate all the papers, for instance, related to malaria. And eventually we're hoping that the the summaries that you have in front of you would, at a minimum, include the research problem statement, the main findings, research recommendations, and innovation. And the purpose of these two really is to provide rapid access to evidence to inform policy, practice, and advocacy, among other things that we can do with this. And the search also can be customized using the filters that is provided. So you just search for malaria with the search filter. You can now narrow down to say, well, I want malaria only for Malawi, for instance, or I want it for a particular age group or a particular gender. All that you can do, and it makes our searches a lot easier. And when we conduct our searches, with the way we've also, this page also automatically sorts the papers that are presented on each table by impact, that the papers with the highest citation numbers appear first. And this way, users would have quick access to high impact articles. The value of that really is that when you're trying to generate evidence, or when you're trying to generate new knowledge, you want to be able to get access to articles on the particular topic that are widely used on the topic to create a new knowledge. And when we search for, he has just searched for violence, we can refine all that by gender, country, etc., like we've talked about. And something else that the page does is if you click on the button, if you select a few of them, the page can actually help you to paraphrase the content of the summaries in front of you. If you click on that paraphrase feature, then it comes to a place where now it reads through all of them and create a summary for you. And this summary can actually be then used, copied and pasted into a report, or just providing a better understanding in a simpler language for a policymaker to understand what is going on. And for the purpose of this presentation, I have added these featured augmented summaries to this page. And what these featured augmented summaries actually were generated from the summaries provided on the CARTA evidence website. So there are those summaries that are provided there, and a collection of those summaries have actually then been used to create this augmented summary. So it's something that the augmented summaries is, we've spent more time understanding the summaries that are auto-generated by artificial intelligence and putting them into better understanding. And one is you can read through the entire document, or you can click on the skip to main findings, and it takes you straight down to the main findings if you're not interested in the rest of it, just to understand what recommendation has been made on that particular topic. And I encourage you all to also go through the particular papers that we've added as illustration on that particular page, and they're quite good. Not because I wrote them, but I think they're quite good articles. And also the information that you have, these augmented summaries that are presented here, if you find them useful, it's something you can easily share also by clicking any of your preferred sharing feature, Facebook, Twitter, to share with your network, to help them also understand new information on policy recommendations around various topics to address various challenges that we could be facing in Africa. And back to the summaries page, you would see that at the bottom, when we conducted a search, for instance, the references to all that can also be exported. Sorry, this is the publications page. If we use the evidence summaries page, abstract summaries page. Yes, so if you searched again, so right on top is the paraphrasing feature, and right at the bottom is to download the references. So these are some of the things we are creating to make accessing evidence, data, and innovations and evidence-informed recommendations more accessible to people. So by clicking that, you can download the references that you may be interested in. Something else we're doing to take this project beyond the CARTA program, or at least explore the possibility of doing that, is we created the Impact Search Africa page. And the Impact Search Africa page is our initial attempt at investigating the requirement to expand this project beyond the CARTA program, specifically in the area of knowledge management. And if you scroll down, like Ryan has kindly done for me, you see some of our features that are currently active, the journal articles page, the data description page. And among other things, we also plan to add the data paraphrasing feature to this page to now provide access to Africa-wide data. Remember, the examples we've been given before now are specific to the CARTA program, but now we're beginning to look at the possibility of scaling this up to provide evidence beyond the program as well. The Impact Search journal article page, for instance, contains an exhaustively tagged articles sorted by citation to enable more efficient search for data. Also, we increase the precision of our search using the extensive tagging that we do. The Impact Journal article description page describes the various papers in more detail in terms of the design used, in terms of methodology used. That also helps you to become, to be more precise in the papers that you're including. For instance, if you want to search for papers that have used a particular design. Rand, if we could just illustrate that a little bit. If you click on the article description page and maybe search for, you can conduct any of our common searches. So if you can search for hypertension or malaria again, as example, and click on search. So you have, it generates a table for you like you have in front of you that tells you what the title of the paper is, the country where it was done, the design used, the sample size, the year it was published, and it can take you to where you can read up the paper in more detail. And right above that, you have this filters as well. And the filters help you also become more precise in terms of what you're looking for. And like with the previous example, with a drop down, you see that in the case of malaria intersecting with many other topics. So if you want malaria and cancer, malaria and violence, malaria and food security, you can become more precise in your search with that. If you want to select information for specific countries or papers that have used a specific design, say for instance, those that have used RCTs only, you can select those malaria papers that have used RCT as a design, or those that focus on children, adults, men or women. So if you're doing a literature review through this whole exercise, more than half of your work is done. And by the time we put in the paraphrasing feature here, it helps now take all that information, summarize somewhere, and maybe you don't need to conduct a detailed literature review anymore. So this is also an attempt to actually disrupt science, but in a structured, replicatable manner. Not to say that these where we would repeat the standard processes, but again, this is one step on many steps to follow to see how we can use artificial intelligence to improve research and search for evidence and innovations. Something else, if you go to the policy brief page, it's a demonstration of many other things that we're creating on this website. The policy brief page, as you have it, is incomplete, but we thought of just showing it in this presentation to demonstrate what we're thinking about and many other things that we are hoping to get out of this website. The page, for instance, demonstrates it's a collection of well-curated evidence on various topics, and you can search for those topics very easily by clicking on the priority areas, or by using the search, or by using the filters to give you a very quick idea, to give you a collection of policy briefs that take you straight to suggest innovations and recommendations to address problems related to any of these topics listed here or whatever you may have searched for, and using our filters to be more precise in what you've done. So I'll try to close quickly. I know we started a bit late. I'll close quickly in the interest of time. So in summary, we hope to create an African research capacity building support platform. In addition to the platform that's used for research and data evidence management. The system will serve various audiences, not just researchers, non-researchers, policymakers, funders as well. While we are not hoping to replace your big databases, but we rely heavily on data we get from Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, and many other sources. In fact, all the information you have on the website have all been extracted from reputable databases such as Web of Science, Scopus, and we are exploring getting index articles from African Journal Online as well, Hinari, and many other sources. The website is customizable for different other projects, research interests, and groups. We have used artificial intelligence extensively through this whole exercise to ensure that everything that we have on the website can be reproduced, can be updated very frequently or as needed, while we're including a small sample of data to demonstrate what we have done. We are hoping to grow the website more and to keep optimizing it. And with people like Ryan, we should be able to send you latest updates in short videos so you know what exactly we're doing. And in all fairness, I believe in what we have done through this website. I would like to invite others who see value in the website to join us in building, completing, and sustaining this vision. We recognize that building such a website would require a variety of expertise, skills, and resources to complete the development, to maintain it. And I welcome offers of support, strategic collaborations in the form of financial support, in-kind contribution, access to data, and alike to help us take this further. I thank you all for listening to the presentation, and you're welcome to reach us via email. That's our email address, and you're welcome to reach us anytime if you have any interest in any of the things that we've developed and things that we're yet to build that could serve your purpose. I thank you.
Thank you, Jude. That was some walk through the whole website, and that passion that you've put into the work can be seen while or heard while you speak. Now we will allow Catherine to give us her closing remarks. Catherine, please.
Thank you very much, Marta, and thanks, Jude, for this amazing work that you've been doing. I was given a brief to situate this piece of work within the overall APHRC vision. As you've heard, I did the African Population and Health Research Center, but I'm also the co-director of CARTA. And in a way, this piece of work fits a lot into our overall strategy. And I wanted to sort of situate it in the broader African context about the great value really these kinds of initiative can bring to us. So I'll go very quickly around APHRC and what we do. And to say that we aim to transform lives in Africa through research. And in a way, research can't transform lives unless it's foundable, unless it's done, and unless the research products themselves are put in a way that they are usable by different types of decision makers. So you can already see that from this piece of work, it is taking research done by CARTA fellows and then trying to translate it into a format and in a platform that is easily accessible. And the last point, which is number 4 on the about how research could transform lives, is that the people using research use their expertise to support decisions. But individuals, researchers, scientists cannot do this unless people know of their existence, unless they know what kind of expertise they bring on the table. So you can see the great alignment that this initiative has, with the APHRC strategy. And so I wanted to talk briefly about APHRC and its role in its current 5-year strategy as an R&D ecosystem enabler, and very briefly see that we are in a context in which African scientists and African voices are needed. You know, given a lot of recent trends, the COVID-19 pandemic sort of uncovered this, in some ways, the hidden voices of African scientists and the expertise and the kind of capacity that exists on the continent, especially when it came to driving their national responses. And then, of course, we are also in a context where there have been several initiatives that are trying to sort of shift the power balance that existed in global health practice, global health study, and global health research. And some of them are demonstrated on my slide. So we're in a position in which the world is sort of looking for the African voices and is giving a platform and a space for African scientists to really shine and demonstrate their capacities. And then, you know, within this context, you're still confronted by the statistics I put on my slide, and I've highlighted the third bullet, which shows that only 2% of the world research output, you know, emanates from Africa. And this could be a true statistic about our capacity, but it could also be a statistic that reflects the kind of invisibility African science has. And so in many ways, this kind of platform is trying to solve a number of problems, not just about showcasing what African scientists are doing, but also showcasing, you know, in what areas where they are, the networks that they have, and the institutions in which they reside, and of course the work of you know, the CARTA program as an African product. So the challenge of trying to respond to the current context that we live in is the challenge of finding the African scientists and finding the institutions in which they are. So this work, as I've said, is very well aligned with the efforts to make our work more visible. I won't go too much into the CARTA program, Mata has covered that, but I'll just say that very briefly, this initiative has great potential to sort of improve the R&D ecosystem, and not just from the capacity strengthening perspective, but from the perspective of, you know, making visible who the experts in different areas, you know, are on the continent. But more importantly, the CARTA initiative really is a good example of partnerships and collaborations. As you heard from, you know, Mata's presentation, CARTA is a family, it's a consortium of 8 universities, 4 research institutes, and many other partners outside the African continent. And this work, this initiative wouldn't have been possible without their partnership. It's also a good example of African leadership. CARTA is really an African product, but if you see the work that Jude and Barry have done, it is also demonstrating leadership in trying not just to be great researchers and, you know, building capacity of many others in the pipeline, but taking the leadership and initiative to showcase, you know, our work and really elevate the African scientists. And then still related to that point, CARTA intends to build research leaders. And I think you can see the leadership that, you know, the team which is working on this has demonstrated, that from being early career researchers, but also with inputs from many others, that we are demonstrating leadership beyond, you know, just being a good academic and being a good researcher, you know, sitting in a university and churning out papers. This is leadership that goes beyond what you would expect from a typical academic. And so in a way, this is actually a demonstration that CARTA is doing the right thing in building a cadre of leaders that are based within academic institutions and that are going to drive the transformation that Africa needs. Last but not least, my last bullet point, it is very much aligned with the graphic on the right, that visibility can be a driver of impact. And if you're doing great stuff, there's no need to hide it under a bushel, and we must show it to the world, not just for the world to see us, but also for ourselves to see us. So I see this initiative as something which is going to really transform the way, not just the CARTA initiative works, but the way that is going to form relationships, the way that is going to elevate our voices, and ultimately do the kind of work and transformation that the African continent needs. So I thank you very much for attending the webinar, and I thank Jude and the team that have been working on this. Of course, the CARTA family and all the great work that is now being showcased. And I wish everyone, you know, a good engagement, and hope to see where this work takes us. I'll hand it back to Mata. I'm not sure that there are Q&As after this, but thanks very much for, you know, attending our webinar, and we look forward to further engagement as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Catherine. for joining us today to launch the website, to make the project public beyond the CARTA family. As Jude was saying, we had been shy and shared only with strategic partners, but today we are taking it out there into the world. There's very little time left, actually a minute, but there are a few questions that maybe Jude can take some time. I don't know why they have disappeared from my thing, but I had seen a few questions about how to participate in the project from other institutions that may not be CARTA or even
Marta,
individuals.
go
Yes,
to
hello?
answered. Please
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to answered.
I found them. No, have disappeared.
Yeah, but if there are any other questions from the audience regarding the use of the website, we're happy to take one or two. And also, I'd like to mention that the website that was shared is our development website. So the actual correct link to the website is in the chat box for those who want to access the website. Please check in the chat box for the correct link to the website.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sorry, I forgot that one. So a couple of questions were about the breaking the barriers of the language, moving through Francophone or Lusophone Africa. Of course, beyond the CARTA family, as we have been discussing. And a very interesting comment from Letitia, if I remember this is from Wits, that we could work, how could we work with to link it to Google Scholar, making sure that this is findable so that it goes beyond us putting it out there, but others finding us and the research that our fellows are doing. If you can address those briefly, then we just close and ask people to use the email that you have shared and to keep contacting through the Secretariat for any ideas they may have.
Yes, and so searching and finding the various websites, it also depends on the number of traffic that goes there. So Google has an algorithm that the more a particular website is searched, the more likely it comes to the top of the search. So as people become more familiar with this, it becomes, and search for it, finding it becomes a lot easier with search automatically. However, we will keep promoting it through this kind of events and many other events and media that we could use to make it more and more, make people know more about it using various avenues, not just this webinar. And the more people visit our website, the more they will pop up with each search. That happens automatically using Google. And there are a number of other features, third-party tools that can also be built to the website to allow them become more findable. So most of those things are resources we are also going to explore. So in short, one is as it gets more popular, it gets easily found. We would use other platforms to promote the website, and we would use other third-party search tools to ensure that we pop up very often as people search. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess in the collaboration side, as you've mentioned, we are open to collaborations, and anyone who is interested should drop us an email, and we would consider how we can work together to apply this to the program and how we can work together to bring out the research and the researchers that they are training and producing as well. I'm curious, I know you have answered most of this in the Q&A, but about the crossing the borders of the language beyond the English-speaking Africa, or the science produced in English. We know, for example, there's a lot of literature produced in French. I don't know that one, how could it be addressed, and how we can work together towards that?
So what we've developed is a use case of, and also a prototype of a platform such as this. So scaling it up to beyond the CARTA program means going into other languages as well. That in our day and time should not be a very difficult process, because We can also develop algorithms that help with translation to a great extent, and that translation process can then be built into the website. So gone are the days where we battled with having other languages on various platforms, because now there are tools that enable that, so it shouldn't be a problem moving forward. Once we get to the point of expanding the scope of the project to include other languages, I'm sure we'll be able to address that using artificial intelligence as well.
Yeah, great. I think we have covered the time and the questions have been addressed. I want to encourage everybody to keep sending us emails, contacting us through the CARTA Secretariat email, carta@aphrc.org, or through the email that you have shown on the slide and that is visible on the website. To continue growing this project beyond the CARTA family, to include all research produced by African researchers and also all the research that is relevant for the context of Africa. Thank you again. Thank you, Jude, for all the work. Thank you for the presentation today and your time with us. Thank you, Catherine, for your remarks and joining us today. Thank you to the comms team, Topista and for making it work behind the scenes. We've had record numbers today of participants in a CARTA webinar. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for making time to join us. Thank you for the interest on the program. Please keep following us on social media. Keep updated with our news and the projects, the website, and we will be here waiting for you to reach out as we keep reaching out to everybody to tell the stories of impact produced in the continent. That is Anne's hand. You want to say something before we cut?
Jude, please input the email address again in the chat.
Okay, the email address for CARTA Evidence.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, with that, thank you, everyone. Maybe before we cut off, so just in case people want to take notes of the emails and everything, and you can play that short video once more. And everybody, thank you very much for your time. We hope to see you around while we continue strengthening the research capacity in the continent.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.